Don't forget to click that subscribe and bell icon to receive a notification each time I upload a new video. Hi everyone, it's Mike here. So for my next video I thought I would take apart this new bag size journal that I've got or that I created in the last video and decorate the covers. I always find it's a really good way to get started. So I've already taken the book rings off, which are what these two things are here. I'm just going to put those safely to one side, and then I've got both of my covers. So those are the insert sheets that I've already cut for the journal, and just before I get any further I'm going to actually just put on this one inside back, inside front, just so I can remember which one is which. So that's going to be the front and that's going to be the back. So what I've done is, to start off with, I've got a couple of sheets of 12 by 12 paper from, I think it's the Memorandum 12 by 12 paper set from Tim Holtz, and I've got these because they're already made up of lots of little bits anyway, and I can position my front and my back anywhere on these sheets and think, well, okay, so that's going to be the front, that's going to be the back, so that's pretty much, you know, what I'm going to get. But I'm going to add some paint and some ink and some texture and that kind of stuff on these anyway. So I'm going to do the inside as well as the outside. So let's get rid of that other sheet of paper, and I'm just going to line the paper up with the cardstock like so, and I'm just going to draw a pencil line pretty much where I want this to go. So, and this front piece here has got a map of Europe and the UK on it, so that's rather perfect for me. So all I need to do is just grab a pair of scissors and then just give that a snip. Now of course I can do, if it's the wrong kind of size, I can trim it, sand it, you name it, add grunge to it, decorate it and disguise it. It doesn't have to be, you know, like the perfect thing. It's going to be a working journal. So over the period that I'm going to be using this and adding art journal pages to it, it's probably going to get knocked about anyway. So the more worn and lived in it looks, the better as far as I'm concerned. So that's going to be the back cover. So I'll put that one to one side and then I'll cut this one for the front. And we're not going to be using any kind of complicated or sophisticated techniques for covering these. We're literally just going to glue them and then distress and then add washes of colour and paint and a little bit of texture paste and then some paint over the top, and then just kind of have a play with all the texture. So that's going to be my front. Liking that already, so I can put those to one side. So we'll work on the front to start off with, so that's going to be the back side to it. So I've got some glue, Aleene's clear tacky glue, and I've had this in my glue collection for quite some time, so I'm hoping that it's not seized up the top. No, the glue's coming out, that's perfect, and this does allow me a little bit of wiggle room, a little bit of wiggle time, with it being white spirit glue, or clear spirit glue. It's not going to grab instantaneously. It'll be time for me to line it up before it grabs. Because I'm working on, you know, a non-stick craft mat, So if I get glue on there, it doesn't matter. I'll just push that down around the edges. And then just using a bone folder, I'm just going to smooth it out. And then just keep pushing a little bit. Make sure that there's no air bubbles or wrinkles, and of course, yeah, the glue is going to squeeze out. That's fine. Like I said, it's spirit glue, so it should just wipe off anyway. Let me see. And I'm just going to go around the edges. And then in a second or two, that should theoretically be dry enough for us to be able to play with. So while that one's drying, I can do the same thing with the back. So that's going to go on there like so. So I want the back bit there. Like I said earlier, this isn't complicated or rocket science or anything like that. Anybody of any kind of ability level should be able to do this. I know some of you have said that you want to have a go at creating one this size because it's handy and it's a nice little size for working in when you don't have a lot of time, you don't want to complete a full project, but you haven't got time to do a larger page. You know, maybe using this for like a travel journal or one that you can just use in your lunch break. I'm not too bothered if I get a little bit of glue on the inside because it will get covered up eventually anyway. So again, just manoeuvre it until we're happy, and then just grab the bone folder, give it a little bit of a squeeze around the edges, make sure we've got no bubbles. That feels about right. Okay, so there's my front and there's my back. We're getting there. So I'm going to leave those for a minute or two just to kind of dry, and then once I've had a chance just to settle down a bit, I'll be right back. Shall I go and make myself a cup of coffee? So coffee's made. So these covers have now had a few minutes to kind of settle and dry. I've already done the front as to what I was going to do next, and I was going to keep the back and show you exactly what I've done. Now you may notice that it looks as though there's kind of like a white border all the way around the covers now. Well, there kind of is, and I'll show you what I've done to get that kind of effect. First of all, I've turned them back, I'll turn the covers over. Now you can see where the paper is just a little bit bigger than the actual background. So what I've done is I've just taken a craft knife and a ruler, and I've just put the blade up against the edge, and I'm just trimming off any excess paper all the way around. There's a little bit on that side as well, that way you can just see it. So we're only talking, you know, a merest fraction of paper, and I'm just angling the blade so it's only catching the paper and not the grey grunge board. There's none on that side and none on that side, so that's perfect. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little emery board, and I'm just going to angle down and then just sand the edges just to remove any kind of jagged bits that there might be from the cutting. And that just thins out that very edge. Now, if you're familiar with leather working, this would be similar to like paring. So you're thinning down the edge for joins. So literally I'm doing the same thing with the paper. I'm just thinning down at the edge so it's the thinnest right on the edge. Now this is going to help it to stop peeling back. Now of course, you know, we can glue, we can add gel medium or matte medium, whatever, over the top just to seal it, which we probably will do when we're finished. I'll maybe add a coat of clear gesso because I don't like shiny coats. I would prefer a matte coat. So possibly when I'm done I might add a coat of clear gesso over the top. So you can see where that white line has appeared, where I've gone around the edges, just gently sanded to remove any kind of excess. Yeah. So there's my front and there's my back. So we've got two nice covers that we can use for the base at the moment. So what I also wanted to add a little bit of texture to these. So I've got some texture paste from Indigo Blue. This is from the Junk and Disorderly range. This is called True Grit because it's a texture paste that has a real fine grit to it. I don't know if the camera's picking up the tiny kind of like dark particles in there, but it's got a real kind of nice creamy texture, but it does have, like I said, a little bit of like grit. You can hear it, can't you? A nice little bit of grit texture. So what I'm going to do is grab that craft mat again. Actually popped it on the floor while I was cutting. Just lift those two up a minute. Massive great big craft room and I'm running out of space on my desk already. There we go. So front and back, left and right, and then I've also got some new stencils. Now these are my August release stencils. So we've got the quatrefoil, which is the Moroccan influence, or Moroccan, East African, Middle Eastern kind of Moorish kind of design. Also got the houndstooth, which is a great kind of masculine background, and of course we've got the Florestrella, which is Spanish for starflower. That's what I thought this one looked like, so that's why I've called it that. So these are available, all three of these now are available to pre-order on my website. They will start shipping from the 5th of August. So I'm going to use the Florestrella one because this is my favourite out of the three so far. And I'm just going to drop that over the top. Get some of that texture paste so you can feel, you can hear the grit in that. It's great. Some really nice kind of texture. And I'm going to just scrape some of that over the top. I haven't used texture paste on a project like this for quite some time, but look at that, absolutely fantastic. And then I can just rub my finger along the edge just to clean those edges up. Some nice texture there. I'll pop that one to one side for a second, get myself a wet wipe. Okay, and then bring in the back, and I think I'm going to add some of that down at this side. So take a little bit more. And then add some of that. Just in a little patch. And then lift that up. Love it. Okay. And again, I can just wipe that off where I don't particularly want it. So where it's come through a little bit there, I can just remove that with a wet wipe. I think we'll leave that pretty much as it is. Right, I need to go and wash off the texture paste from that stencil. So we've got the front and the back. So I'll let those dry for a while and then I'll be right back. Okay, so the texture paste has had plenty of time to kind of dry now, and also I have encouraged it a little bit with that heat gun. Now, as you can see, there is a little bit of kind of sparkle in that texture paste. You can see the grit, and there's just a tiny hint of sparkle in there, which is, I didn't realise that you were going to get that as well, which is a bit of a bonus if I was going to leave it like that, which I'm not. But that I really like. So the next thing that I want to do is, before I start adding paint and that kind of stuff, is I want to uncover the inside fronts now, or the inside front and the inside back. So bringing back that second sheet of Tim Holtz paper, I've already kind of measured out exactly where I want, or the bits that I want for the back. So this one's going to be for the inside front and this one's going to be for the inside back. So all I need to do now is just quickly trim those out. So, but because watching somebody cut pieces of paper isn't the most exciting thing, you've seen me start, so I'll join with you again when I've cut out. Okay, so I've got my piece cut out for the inside front cover. So that's the back that I'm going to be gluing down on. So again, I'm just going to repeat the same process that I did with the last one. So just grab the glue, go around the edges, and then just fill in. But like I said, you could use whatever glue you wanted to use: watered down PVA, craft glue, silicone gel, matte medium, gloss tube medium, you name it, whatever you prefer. Because when all said and done, it's going to be your journal. So use the glue of your choice. Okay, so I like this one because it's got that little bit of wiggle room. There we go. Almost an exact size. Now then, what did I do with my bone folder? There it is. So I'll just gently go around the edge. Leave that to dry for a minute, and then do the same thing with the other. There we go, that should be enough. But it's got two choices, ain't it? It's either enough or it isn't. So again, just line those edges up, just give it a bit of a wiggle. So that one looks like it might be just a tad too small. I must have cut inside the line rather than the outside, but that's fine. Like I said, this is the inside, and I can always add some border strips if I want to. There we go. So I'm going to leave those to dry for a minute or two, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so now I've got front, back and they've both now got their covers. The eagle-eyed amongst you will also notice that I've also punched through and put the holes back in. So it was literally just a case of holding up one of the sheets that I'd done for the inside and just using that as a template just to work out where the holes were. It took less than a minute just to uncover those two holes. Now I can add some hole reinforcement on these later on if I want to. That's entirely down to me. But once again, I'm just going to just run around the edge with that emery board just to kind of make those edges the same in keeping with the others. So you've seen me do this for once. There's no point me making you sit through seeing it again. So I'll get on and do this, and then I'll be back when I've done front and back cover. Okay, so that's all of the edges sanded down nicely. So now I can start to add a little bit of paint and distress. So what I've got is I've brought out my Dina Wakley paint. So I want to add a little bit of turquoise just onto it. Now should I use turquoise or should I use peacock? Now I think I'm going to use the turquoise, and I'm just going to grab that paint mat again. Drop that down onto there, just to hold that thought. Okay, so we'll start off with the front cover, and I'm just going to take a little bit of the turquoise paint, just a very, very small amount, a small brush. Let's see if we can find a useful small brush. Yes, that will do nicely. And then I've got some water, not to be confused with my alcohol one. I'm just going to add a little bit of water to the paint, mix it up, and then I'm just going to add some of that turquoise paint. And then while that's on there, just give it a quick jig. Just introduce it somewhere else. And then I'm going to let that dry. Like I said, it's only subtle. It's all I want. We don't want an overwhelming colour. Now you can go a bit darker on the back because you're not going to be looking at that quite as much as the front. And then just give that a spritz and then let that run. Encourage it to move a little bit. I want to leave that run there. I kind of like that. See that turquoise on the edge there. And then we bring that front in and just add a little bit. And can you see how it's actually starting to kind of soak in a little? Cool. Okay. Let's give that a little bit of encouragement. I've got a pot of water just off screen. Just give that a quick blast. Obviously this corner onto the paper will dry a lot quicker than it does on the texture paste. Okay, so my turquoise paint has dried a little bit. As you can see, I've got it to run a little bit. It's now gone into kind of like the edges, and I like the effect that it's given with especially that run down there. So I want to add some more stenciling onto it now. This time I'm going to use ink, so I'm going to use that quatrefoil stencil that I mentioned before. So I'm going to just lay that over the top, and I've got my Distress Archival ink. This is Vintage Photo, the old favourite, and then I'm just going to hold that down and then just go over and add some of that nice kind of darky brown colour, darkish brown colour I should say. That's going to give me a nice little bit of oldie world texture on there as well. I'm going to do a little bit just up here in this corner over the top. Just to blend that stenciling in there, and then maybe just a tiny little tad down here in the corner, just to add a nice little bit of aging to it. With that, put that to one side and then bring the back cover, and then I can add some more of that. Just hold that down. Just circular motions. It doesn't have to be very heavy at all. I'm going to put some in this corner here, just between where the rings are going to go for the book rings. And again, just a little bit overlapping just down there, just to kind of connect the dots from that one to that one. Okay, so that's that one done. Okay, so let's just bring those back in. So that's the front and the back. Now I wouldn't mind actually going around the edges with the archival ink as well. Maybe do something on the back. I'm leaving the back, or the inside covers if you like, kind of untouched because they're kind of busy as they are. And they are the inside covers when all's said and done, so I haven't decided whether I'm going to add pockets to these later on, which I may just do. Because the option's always there to add pockets. Kind of just finishes that off a little bit, and then we just take some around the edge there so the inside matches the outside. Yeah, me liking. Again, just spend a minute or two. I think this foam's just about had it. You can see all the black bits that are lying on my mat. So all the bits of the distress foam falling off. So going around and sanding the edges was worthwhile, because when you come to actually adding the colour, the distress, it grabs because it's going straight into the paper. So if you're using a coated paper or anything like that for your decoration, then sanding it would remove the coating and help the ink go in. Starting to like the look of these rather much. Excellent. Right, I need to get this cleared because otherwise I'm going to end up brushing that all over my clothes. So I shall be back in 5 minutes once I've had a bit of a tidy up. Okay, so I've taken a couple of these, I think they're the word chips, Tim Holtz word chips. I think that's what they're called. I can't remember what it says on the packet because I've actually taken it out of the packet and thrown them away. Thrown the packet away, that is, because I keep all mine in a box like this. I suppose you ought to have stuck it on the top so I remember what it was called. Anyway, you know the ones I mean. So I've still got the archive link out, and I'm just going to dirty them up. Just give them a good liberal going over. Just leave the centres. You don't have to be too exact with this. The dirtier the better, really. You could always add another colour into it if you wanted, but I think it's time for that to go. I've just made another mess all over the mat, look. Excuse me. Bin, there we go. And don't trouble me again. Right, let's just see if I can get rid of those bits. There we go. Okay, so the front cover is where I'm going to stick these. And I think I'm going to put them like so. Or like that. And that's going to be the front cover of my journal. So I'm going to grab some glue. So this is just Tombow white with the precision tip. And then I can drop that one down. I might put that Adventurer weight underneath. Do it in line with that ticket there. And a little bit of glue just on the back there. Yep, like that. I think that's going to need something heavy just to hold it down, because there is a little bit of a bow that the card has bowed slightly with the heat, with the glue and all that kind of stuff, as it tends to do. So just adding something like this onto it just helps to hold it in place, something with a little bit of weight. It's not moved that much, has it? That's enough. That's going to be enough just to leave that sitting there for a minute or two. So I'll do that, and once again I'll be back once it's grabbed. Okay, so while that's sticking down, I want to prepare some hole reinforcers. I've got some black card, so I'm going to need 8. So I'm going to need 2 for the outside and 2 for the inside. That's 4 per cover. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just punch 8 holes out of this brown cardstock. Okay, and then with a larger circle punch, I'm just going to centre on that, and then I can create some bespoke hole reinforcers, whatever colour I want. done those too far in. Better. That should do me. 5/8 of an inch, I think that circle punch is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or am I reading that right? I'm not very good with inches. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, 5/8. So 5/8 circle punch, and then whatever that size is. Not sure. Standard kind of hole punch size. I suppose I could measure it. What is it? 2/8? It is. It's 2/8. So 2/8 and a 5/8. There you go. Right, so let's bring the back sheet in first. And of course, some glue. So all I have to do is just put some little bits of glue around the outside, drop it down. And that becomes your hole reinforcer. And then we can do these on both sides. Again, the PVA will disappear, it will dry clear, so there's no worry there. Doesn't really need them because it's grunge board. I just think it helps to just give it that more kind of like travel journal kind of feel. Like I said, it's PVA craft glue, so it will disappear once it's dry. The glue, that is. Doesn't stay white. Me likey. Now then, has that other cover grabbed yet? Yep, it looks like it, so we're okay to carry on adding our little donuts. That one's slightly off centre, but that's fine. And then just flip it and grab the other side. Okay, so need to let those dry, and then I can start to reassemble the journal. But maybe I want to do one more thing to it first. Okay, so they're pretty much done now. So that's both front and back on both the inside and the outside are pretty much dry. But I wanted just to add one more little thing before I finished. So, Dina Wakley white paint, a little bit of water, Then I've got my little fan brush. And then I just want to add just a few a couple of little splatters, just to kind of finish it off a little bit. That final kind of touch. And that's it. Job done. Throw a wet wipe. That one out of the way, and then I can just clean on that. Bring that back in. Done a few more on the back than I have done on the front, because like I said, I think the back you can get away with doing just that little bit extra. The front you don't particularly want too much to take away from the journey that your eye goes on around the page. So of course you've got the texture, and then you've got the splatters, the actual pattern in the background, and then taking you down to where you actually read. I think that is just enough, I think. So I'll just give that a quick blast just to help the paint dry. And of course, if you wanted just to add a little bit of sparkle on there, you could use maybe a little bit of silver paint or white metallic if you've got it, just to add a little bit of bling. Let's get this dry. Okay, so the white paint is now dry, so it's time to reconstruct the journal. Because the thicker it gets, you can just add in larger book rings if you want. I'm going to start off with these smaller ones, and then as I use up the pages and then add more to it, I can expand on the size of the ring. There. So that is my front and back cover of my new handy bag-sized journal. I wouldn't be too embarrassed taking that out in public. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me do those two covers. I will obviously start and play with the pages within probably next week. So like I said, hope you've enjoyed that. If you have, please remember to give it a thumbs up and share the video with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. That's all from me for now. I'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. Thank you.